Here's a scenario that I think you're going to find quite common. There's a document that's made and published and made available, and then after it's disseminated and people are reading it, looking at it, it's discovered that it's incomplete or it doesn't have all the information that it really should. Well, one way of solving that problem is to have a second set of eyes that look at the final content before it goes live to make sure it's just darn right, or at least close to being perfect for the purpose it's intended. And one way of doing that is that in our document libraries, we can force the option of content approval. What that means to us is that if somebody uploads a file, it's going to sit kind of hidden in that document library until an approver comes in, looks at the document, verifies it's correct, and then once the approver approves it, at that moment, it becomes available for the other users to go ahead and start seeing it and using that document. So in this nugget, we're going to do three basic things. We'll select a document library, we'll enable the feature, and then we'll upload a file and verify that it works. To implement our content approval in a document library, we're going to start by going to the site. So we'll launch Chrome from our Windows 10 machine in our lab environment. And once there, we'll go ahead and log on as administrator with our lab password and press enter to log on to the SharePoint server. So a good starting point for us would be to decide where we want to enforce the content approval. And let's do it in the engineering subsite. So we have a top link on the top. We have a quick launch area on the left for engineering subsite. Let's go there. And then specifically, let's go to the engineering document library by clicking on the link in the quick launch area on the left. And let's set up content approval for this specific document library. Now to do it, we're going to go to the settings of this library. And to get to the settings of this library, with it selected, we're going to click on the Library tab up near the top left. And then from the Library ribbon over on the right, we're going to go ahead and select Library Settings right here over on the right-hand side of that ribbon. So we'll click on Library Settings. And the location that we're going to go to set up the content approval is under Versioning Settings for this document library in the Settings area. So we're going to click on this link right here for Versioning Settings. Now you might be thinking to yourself, well, Keith, we've been here in versioning settings before. We had a whole nugget on it. And in response to that, yes, we absolutely did. And this time, as we visit the versioning settings, we're going to be focusing on this option right here. Do we want to require content approval for this document library? And all we need to do is check the little radio button for yes to enforce it. And then we'll scroll down and we'll click on OK. Now what that's going to do for our document library, in fact, let's go back to our document library. So over here on the left in the quick launch area, let's click on the engineering document library to go there. By enabling that feature, it did a couple of things. First of all, any files that were in that document library, ta-da, they are approved by default. But any new files, as they get put into this document library, are going to be subject to approval before the average user who has viewing access to this document library can see it. Also, what happened with this document library is that there's a new view that we automatically got as well. It's the approve/reject items view. So if we click on that view right here, it will show us both the documents that have been approved and also it'll show us documents that have not yet been approved. So to demonstrate that, let's go ahead and create a new file and upload it to SharePoint. So we'll minimize the window for SharePoint just for a moment. And back on our desktop, we'll right click on document 2. We'll select copy from the drop down and then we'll do a Control V to paste it on our desktop. And I'm simply going to just click on the title a couple of times. And I'm going to rename this to Doc3 and press enter. So now when we upload document 3 to this document library, it won't be visible to the general user yet until it's approved. So to demonstrate that, let's go back to SharePoint by clicking on the Chrome icon to bring back our browser window. And let's upload our document that we just created, Doc3, by clicking on the link for upload right here. So we'll click on upload. We'll click on the link for choose files. We'll click on Doc3 and then we'll click on open and then we'll click on OK to start the upload process to this document library. So it says the upload is complete and you'll notice we have the section for pending and there we have Doc3. This icon here represents that it's not checked in yet. And with this view in place, this column right here, approval status, indicates that it has not yet been approved. So to change that status from pending to approved, what someone would do, someone who we would give rights to that has the ability to do so, they would go to this file, they would click on the ellipsis, and then from the pop-up they would click on the ellipsis again to bring up more actions, and then they would go to advanced. Now we should also note that the user needs to have the document checked in, and then the approver can go ahead and approve it off of the advanced menu. So they could go ahead and approve that document, and that would change the status of that document from pending to approved. And then the average Joe, who has read access to that document library, would only then be able to see that document, the one that had been approved. And that can come in very, very handy if we want to make sure that the documents that users are seeing have been properly vetted and approved and verified that they're correct before the users get access to them. So in this nugget, we did 3 basic things. Number 1, we decided on where we would go to set up the content approval. We chose the engineering document library in the engineering site. And then number 2, we went to the settings of that document library, and under versioning control, we clicked the radio button that said we want to enable content approval. And then third, as a result, we uploaded a file, and by default it shows up as pending until someone with the administrative rights to go ahead and set that to approved comes along and approves that file. And what I invite you to do right now in the hands-on lab that we provide is to go ahead and log on to this lab and walk through these same exact steps to reinforce the skills of setting up the requirement for content approval on a document library. So I'm glad that you joined me for this nugget. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.